Hi, this is Boone's Slot Car Garage. Let's do this.
Hi, I'm Boone, and this is Boone's Slot Car Garage. And tonight, it's New Year's Eve. So I figured what better way to start off the new year than with a video. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna go ahead and make ourselves a video. So what are we gonna do? Well, I'll get to that. But first off, I just kind of want to say that this is going to be like one of the first videos that we've done since we've been here in Texas. Now, there has been some other videos, but this is going to be kind of the first official video since we've been here. And what I mean by that is that we're actually going to build something, right? So before, what we've done is I've shown as far as bringing the layout in, and offloading, and everything else, and that whole entire adventure that went on. But now, it's in the garage, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. But, okay, let's back up a little bit. So, what we're gonna go ahead and do tonight is I have a back section of the layout that needs to be completed. Now, the majority of everything else is done as far as building the table goes, and I've extended it out, and yeah, it's gotten a wee bit bigger. So we got a lot of room for future videos coming up as far as with scenery and all sorts of different things. So with that, what we're gonna do tonight is on the back corner, I have an elevation, okay? Because we have the two different tables. We have the lower table and we have the upper table. Still have that going on. Now, when I originally made this layout, Deception, there was some things that were done before the YouTube channel ever started. One of the things that was completed was the elevation that was on the back side of the track, or the main straightaway that was there. And that never got filmed. So what do we have going on tonight is that I have an elevation on the back corner that I need to have the track come up to it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and build that and build the elevation into that. And I wanted to go ahead and just film that, and yeah, so we got that. Now, two things. Two things that I'll let you guys know. A, it's New Year's Eve. So here in Texas, they like to shoot their guns and like to blow up stuff and everything else. So while we're filming, we might hear some of that stuff, just so you know that. Number two is that when we purchased the house, it came with a cat. So we have this cat, outdoor cat, and his name's Tippy. And Tippy had a run-in with a copperhead snake over the summer before we got here, and he had a wound. So the wound and stuff are having a hard time getting it healed and whatnot, and he is here in quarantine in the garage off to the side. So when we're filming this, you might hear some meowing going in the background. Well, that's Tippy just telling me that he wants out of his cage. So just so you know that. Now, back to what we have at hand. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and get this all going, right? So grab yourself a cup of joe, maybe some popcorn, and let's do this.
Right, so here we are, and here's Deception Raceways. Now, you can tell that a lot has been added on to this, and I went ahead and brought the actual lower table out to 9 feet as far as across goes, and I added another 3 feet right down here at the end. So it's 9, and there's an additional 3. Now, if you look around, still got a bunch of boxes over there, but this side of the garage is still intact. So as the house gets put together more boxes will disappear. So But hey, we got this area and we can get some stuff done. So first off, let me go ahead and let me climb up here. I'm gonna climb up on top of the layout. And see, I'm standing up here. So you can see where the old layout was and where the new track is laid. Now, this area over here is pretty much all stayed the same with the hairpin coming up through, and then it's changing down in this area. It used to wrap and go down through a hill down here and then come around like this, and then it came back over here. Well, that's all changed. Now what we have is it comes up around, it's gonna go up a hill, and that's the area that we're gonna be working on tonight. And then down into here, and there's our pit lane, new pit lane, into a sweeper, and then kind of a rhythm section through the middle of the track, over to a hairpin, and then back up again. Now, I wanna show you guys, I'm standing on my layout, right? Well, if you're gonna build a good sized table, meaning something that you can't exactly reach across, when you're building, it's important that your table can take the weight so that you can actually get up here on top and walk around and, you know, get up and start doing your scenery. Because if your table isn't strong enough, it's going to be a hard time trying to work certain areas of a track as far as putting scenery in, because, well, you're not really going to be able to reach it. So when you're building the table, if you can, build as strong as possible. Now, this little area over here, let me walk over here, is the area that, there's Razzle, and this is the area that we're going to be working on tonight. That is a hill. So let me go ahead and I'll get off the table and we'll go over in that corner and we'll go check it out. Okay, so this is the area we're going to be working on tonight. Now, you can see there's 3 different levels there, right? So what we have is, it's about 18 inches from the base down here to the very top, up on top. So what we need to do is bring these 2 pieces of track, these 2 middle ones, up this way and then into this hairpin and then back around. Now, I went ahead and just laid some particle board up here for the time being, just so I could get an idea as far as my spacing and how I wanted to have certain things looking, as, you know, try to figure out the track. Now that I have it all figured out, this back area, we need to go ahead and, well, need to work some magic on this and make it a little bit better, all right? So what I mean by that, well, this area through here, it has a nice transition and has a nice slow climb up to the top. But what I'd like to do is we're gonna peak the hill right up here. So we're gonna flatten it out, up this upper board, and then we've got some structure and stuff. We're gonna scab off of that and put a leg in here, you'll see. And then as it comes off here, and then we're gonna drop it down like a hill. Well, if you can see, this board is going, you know, it's pretty much straight line. Well, what we need to do is go ahead and create a bend, all right? Because, you know, hills have bends to them. They have bows and everything else as far as the drop. So what we're going to do is go ahead and build an upper platform up here that's going to be, you know, flat, and then it's going to come out and then it'll drop down into a hill and then carry that down through, down our straightaway into our pit lane and all that. So let's go ahead and I will get these pieces of track off of here, and I'll get the boards off, and we'll figure out what we need to do. Okay, so at this point, I went ahead and I removed the particle board, and I got my kind of platform up here so you kind of get an idea. Everything is just kind of set in here right now. And the reason why I do that is just so I can sit there and look at it and figure it all out, right? So I have my platform up here, which I'm using MDF, and I believe this is, what is this, 1/2-inch MDF board. And it's just some stuff I had laying around the garage. Now, the actual boards that I'm using here are 1/8 inch plywood. Really, really thin stuff. And the reason why you want to do that is because it's pliable, meaning that we can bend it around. It'll bend real easy and we can shape it. Now, you could also use fiberboard, which the hills that I made over the other side were made with 1/8 fiberboard. But I have some of this laying around, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this instead. So this is just kind of the 1/8 inch plywood, and you can see, I mean, you can bend this and everything else, and it's really light too, which is nice. So what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and get that all squared away. But say you had some 1/4 inch plywood laying around. Well, here's some 1/4 inch plywood. And you're not gonna get the bend out of it, okay? So just kind of want to show you, if you had 1/4 inch, think, oh, I got some 1/4 inch plywood. Well, it's not as bendable. You're not gonna be able to really get it to form the way that you want to. So you could use this. It's gonna take a lot more finagling to do it, a lot more structure and everything else to bend it in a certain way. And a lot of times with 1/4 inch, if you bend it too far, you're gonna break it. It's gonna go ahead and it's gonna spider out on you. So go ahead and set that off to the side. So now what we need to do, now that we have this, and you can kind of see how that hills. So if let me get this up underneath that track. If we get that mated up there, and we can get this to kind of come down, and we can get it to contour right to that level area of the track, and it actually makes it look like a natural hill that way. Plus, the other thing is that it's going to be a smooth transfer from the crest of the hill to the base. And when we bend the track to form into it, it'll have a nice solid foundation base that the track can go ahead and lay against. So you won't have it, you know, if you did it with something else and you had it up, you know, it's not going to support the track as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff off. So let me set that over there. And what we need to figure out is the structure underneath this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get my upper platform here. Let me get this off. This is just precariously propped up. Hopefully it doesn't fall. So let me get this down. Okay, so I've got a hood prop rod underneath here just holding it in place. But what we want to do is get this upper structure kind of formed in. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and scab a little bit of 2x4 on this and make a platform that this can set on. And I'm going to have another one off to the side. It's actually going to be a little bit bigger up here. So my plan is where is that other piece? So here it is. So a little bit thicker stuff, but it'll work. So we'll go ahead and have that up like so, and then we'll bring this down through. And the reason why I did that is just kind of bring it up and I can bring scenery around to it. So when we come back, I'll have the upper platform secure and we can start attacking our supports and everything for our hills. Okay, we're back. Now, I went ahead and I have my table crated up on top. So this is all built and it's framed in. And I have the MDF all screwed down, okay? So it's nice and solid. Plus, I went ahead and put a kicker as far as a leg down at the bottom, so now we have some structure up here. I can grab it and I can shake the whole entire table. Now, this gets a little bit complicated, so I've filmed this a couple times. I thought, no, I screwed that one up. So see if I can get it right this time, okay? So we have the table up on top. Now, on the front side of this, there's a 2x4 that's right here, okay? This guy right here that I'm marking an X on is a 2x4. Now,
I went ahead and scabbed that to the front, or, you know, fastened it down. And the area from the top to the 2x4 right here is 1/8 inch down, okay? It's got a little bit of a 1/8 inch space right up here between these two. And the reason for that is our board that we're using, this plywood, or, you know, fiberboard, if you're using that, is 1/8 inch thick, right? So what we want is for this board to meet up with the top and meet flush. We don't want it to be raised up or anything else, because we want to create the best bed that our track can sit down onto. So by doing this, we can make sure that it's nice and flush and it transfers real smoothly into the other board. So we're creating a smooth transition into the other elevation. Okay, that went okay. So we went ahead and we have that there, right? Now, you'll notice that there's another little board. This one right here, okay? This is a 1x2 that I went ahead and fastened onto the 2x4 that's fastened onto the table. Now the 1x2 is a structural kind of a step, so that when we create our strong back that's going to be going down, and I'll get to that, this is just a little bit of help. It's a little bit of structure to that, okay? But I want to kind of explain that now, because you might be looking at it going, okay, Boone, you got the table, we see the, but what's that? Well, that's what that is, okay? So, okay, I think we're doing all right this time. So, we have our track up here, all right? Now, the other thing that I like to do, now that you kind of get things kind of put into motion, you're starting to kind of get an idea of how everything's going to work out, is that you want to go ahead and take a pin and mark the area right up here to where your track is going to be, okay? So this area in here is where the track is at. Same thing over here. So we have a mark here and a mark here. Why I'm doing this, okay? This is just for me. It's just another visual aid for myself, is that so I can take this track off, okay? So let me do that right now. Let me take it off. So if I remove the track, now I know exactly where the track is going to be, okay? So I don't have to keep on moving track back and forth and back and forth. I can just go ahead and utilize this board up on top here. Okay, we'll do like that. So now I know where my track is going to lay, all right? Why that's important? Because for this one especially, because I have two different hills going on. I have this kind of gradual slope, and I have a little bit more, one right here. It's going to be a little bit more aggressive. So we're going to have two different road surfaces going on at different heights. Well, at different drop rates. They're both at the same height. So this is kind of a visual aid, all right? So now, I told you about that as far as the 1/8 inch, and when this fastens down, you can see how that's going to be nice and smooth transfer onto the upper part. Now let me go ahead and get this out of the way. All right, so now we got that out of the way. Get this out of the way. Now you're looking here and you'll see another board, right? Okay. Now if you notice, this table has no structure underneath it. I'm pretty much floating from this point up here to the point down here on the lower table, all right? So being that I have no structure underneath it, I need to create something that I have some sort of structure so I can build off of, because otherwise I have nothing there. These boards, I mean, they're real flimsy. Even if I say attach it here and attach it up on top, it's still like a springboard. It has no structure. So what I did is I took a 1x4, okay, and I went ahead and put my 1x4 onto this 1x2 that I talked about, that we fastened onto the 2x4 that's fastened onto the table. and went ahead and screwed that down. And you notice it's dropped down below our 2x4 up on top here. And then that goes all the way down to the bottom. Let me get this out of the way. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but it's down to the bottom, and what we're creating is a strong back for our bed, okay, for our board that we're going to put in there. But it's not laying right up against it, okay? There's space there, and the reason why we have space is so we can then take this board, manipulate it, okay, bend it, and create little pillars that come up to hold the shape that we want, okay? So by putting that strong back in there, gives us something to build off of to manipulate our upper board. Now, if you also notice, there's a lot of space here, okay? The reason why we want to have a lot of space is because we want to be able to create that transfer. And if it's too tight up against it, you're gonna be hitting that board. So you want to make sure that you have enough gap between the two so that you can create that transfer. You have room underneath there so that it's not going to hamper your hill. Okay, so now this one right here, okay, being that that one's going, it's a little bit easier because this is already an elevated surface coming up to it. This one we're dropping off from the top, and what I need to do is then set this board, the 1x4, underneath my lower table, okay? So by creating that and putting that up underneath, I'm creating a little bit of gap so that my hill can come off here, and I have room that I can go ahead and smooth it down through and just create those little bit of blocks in there to hold it into place. So I think that explained it. Now, what we're gonna do from here, well, when we come back, now that we have this all set, and I'll go ahead and get this other 1x4 put in, what we'll do is go ahead and start attaching our 1/8 inch board onto our surface and start working with those risers so we can start creating our hill transfer. All right, so that's what we'll do when we come back. All right, so now this is kind of where the magic happens, right? So that we finally get to actually start to see what our hill's gonna look like. Now, I've already went ahead and attached this on the bottom and up here on top. And I went ahead and put 2 screws up here on the top so we have a nice flush transfer to the upper. And then I went ahead and put a support piece right down adjacent to that so that it has a little bit more structure. It's not just hanging up above here. We have something that's right here that's holding it. And I just used a little piece of, I think it was like 1x2. And it just kind of fit right in there. And I was able to get a nice transfer up on top. Now, the middle of this, if we look, still all flimsy. So what we need to do is figure out what type of hill that you want. Now, what we have right now, you can kind of see is like kind of just a subtle grade, but we still need to put some type of structure in here. So I cut off just 2 different pieces of scrap, and this is, I believe this is a 2x2, and this is a 1x2, all right? And the reason why I did that is it's gonna kind of show you what just these 2 little variations in height can do to your hill. So first, if we go ahead and put this 2x2 in here, and we say we fasten it down, you can see how we get a nice transition going through here. Now you could bring this up a little bit if you wanted to make more of a crest. You know, if you wanted to kind of raise it up this way, you know, it's amazing what you can do. So say we're gonna leave that one there and we take this 1x2 and we thought, well, we'll put something down in here. What does that look like? Well, if you bring this down to it, wow. Now you can really see how this is kind of dipping down into here
and then rising up on top. Kind of a cool looking hill. Being that this is coming out of a corner, it's shooting up, I don't know. Let's see here. Let me bring this up. If we bring the 2x2 down, that's kind of cool. And if we bring this up in here, yeah, I mean, you can see how that works. And all I'm going to do is just take drywall screws or wood screws and screw this together. In fact, that's all I've been using as far as fasteners goes, just drywall screws. And I went ahead and I got this guy in. Let me move this out. And I put a little bit of support here just to give it a little bit more strength, and it's on there, okay? So we got a good strong back. So now it just comes down to figuring out exactly what kind of hill we want to make. So I'm gonna go ahead and play around with this, and yeah, be kind of fun. But what I'm gonna do is just use a single screw, screw it all the way through, and have it long enough that's gonna go through my block of wood and into the strong back itself, into the 1x4. And it's just gonna hold it all into place. So, real easy. And with these two that are in here, say we fasten those down, this board now has got structure to it. It's not gonna move, it's taken shape, and it's gonna have a nice even transfer to it. So we can get our track to really lay down on there, no gaps or anything else, and it'll look really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that down, and when we come back, we'll see what kind of hill I made. All right, so there we go. I went ahead and I created kind of a swoopy hill. So it kind of comes down a little bit into a gully, and it kind of rises up and it crests over in here. So I went ahead and put my track onto it, and it's not exactly laying exactly flat because we still need to kind of manipulate the track. So the nice thing about Scalextric track is that it's made with a real pliable plastic, so it bends real easily, okay? Some of the other tracks that are out there, like Carrera or Polycar, or some of the harder surface tracks, they don't bend as easy. So you have to use a little bit of heat and stuff like that to soften it to go ahead and get the track to bend. Nice thing about Scalextric track, you don't have to do that. It's pretty bendable right out of the box. So what we need to go ahead and do is get our transfers. So what I've done down in this area, if you can see down here, it's actually laying real nice. And I was able to take the track and just put my hand into it and just kind of form it down through like so by holding it, and we can get that to take shape, like, you know, into that gully. Now when it comes up over the top, you can see this seam right here. It's a little bit like that. What we need to do is work this upper piece so that it has a nice transfer into that one. So what I will do is let me go ahead and disconnect this one, and we got this guy right here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is utilize a little bit of a board right here. I'm gonna put this at the seam, set my hand on it, and just go ahead and just ever so slightly just go ahead and apply some pressure down. And this is a process, you just kind of work the track, and it's getting down there. Okay, you can see we got this pretty good, but we're still up a little bit. So we'll go ahead and move that up just a little bit more, and then we'll ply down. Move it right here. We can get this just to kind of make a nice transfer. And there we go. Now it's a nice transfer up on top. So get that together. Get this corner put into it, like so, and voila, we have ourselves a hill. So the other area where it comes down, that'll be a future video. But we just want to get this hill going. So we got this one. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish up this hill. When we come back, we'll see what we got. All right, so here we are. I went ahead and I have this hill complete now, and we've got this all complete. So this hill was pretty much completed the same way that that one was, okay? So what we did is we went ahead and I put those shims in the inside of it to go ahead and shape it just the way that I wanted to. Now you can see up on top, it's got quite a crest, really drops down, and then it comes into this area of a lane changer. And beyond the lane changer is my pit entry. So a little bit different. When you're using a lane changer or a pit lane in a hill section, you want to make sure that the hill in that area is as flat as possible. Now it could have a little bit of a bow to it, but you don't want a bow that's going to impede the area of the switches that are in the changer. So you have an area that's up in the forward portion of it. You could go ahead and bow that just a little bit, but you really don't want to do anything past, per se, this area, because you just don't want those guys to have any type of drag that goes in there. And the same thing with the pit lane. It comes in, there's a little bit of a bow right in this area where I kind of went ahead and just kind of, you know, massaged it a little bit. But when it comes down to that pit lane, that switch is clear, so it's nice and flat. So just a little FYI. Now, since Deception made it to Texas, I have not had a chance to fire this track up. Now, obviously only one lane's gonna work because I still need to purchase a few pieces of track so I can finish this little section here. But I do have one lane that is connected. So I don't think I can run the whole entire track, but when we come back, we'll see if I succeeded.
there we go. We actually got some blood flowing into Deception Raceways and got some cars actually on the track moving around and stuff like that. So yeah, really cool. And no one made a successful lap. No. Got a lot of work to do, guys. I've got to go through and clean up all the connections, and I got to clean up the track, but at least that section works. That's a good thing because we just built that one and it works, so it's success. So as far as the transitions and stuff with those elevations, if you noticed on the video, the cars are real nice and smooth going through there. And you know, that's what we're going for. If a real track and a real race car track has all those nice transitions and smooth and everything else, that's what we want to try to mimic on our own tracks at home. So that portion was a success. Now, as far as other elevations on the track, I'm kind of kicking it around. There's a couple ideas that I have inside my head with some of the new areas of the track. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But it's gonna be a while. It's gonna take a while to get everything into shape and whatnot. And as far as all the stuff that we need to do, because I need to write out a list. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we need to do. So there we go. We got one complete video done, and we actually built something down here in Texas, the first one, and it was New Year's, so Happy New Year to everybody. And yeah, kind of cool. Just kind of kick things off on the right foot. So yeah, this is a good thing. All right? So remember, we have this, which is the Facebook group, and that, which is the Instagram group. So if you like this video, like it, share it with others, and please subscribe to my channel. It helps. It helps as far as getting the viewership and everything else, and we can start pushing this Boone Slot Car Garage and slot cars out in front of more people. So more people that like the channel, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, gets more of a footprint out there in front of the public. So do your part, hit the little like button, everything else, and boom, we'll see if we can blow this thing up, right? Okay, so what are we doing the next time on Boone Slot Car Garage? We're going to be working on this, but I'm not sure exactly what we're doing yet, but I'll figure it out, all right? So I'll see you guys later. Hi, this is Boone Slot Car Garage. Let's do this.